All right. Welcome to the Scorched Earth Sports Podcast for February 16th, Sunday. Welcome. Hope you're making it well through the weekend. Hey, if you could, I'd really appreciate if you could hit the like or subscribe button. And for all you people who already have, I really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. We put in a lot of work here, and it's really nice to have people appreciate it. And I appreciate your comments too, except for the negative ones. Then you can go F yourself. All right, we're going to devote this podcast to the USA-Canada hockey game. And there is just so much material here. It's literally the biggest hockey game we've had in 9 years on the international level. The last time they played was 2016. All the stars were out. It was the biggest of big games. And let's start out with, it was on ABC, ESPN. We start out with Sean McDonough. Anybody who's listened to this knows how I feel about Sean McDonough. The only thing that Sean McDonough loves more than Sean McDonough is listening to Sean McDonough. It was pretty interesting. His color guy is Ray Ferraro, and he's on the ice while Sean's in the booth. And I think the reason is because they can't get enough oxygen canisters in the booth because Sean, from his incessant talking, literally sucks all the oxygen out of the room. And if Ray wants to live, he has to have another means of getting oxygen. Just crazy. Let me tell you, when college football rolls around, that's when I really get going. Sean. Because, like I've said before, the greatest job in the world is being the color guy for him on a football telecast. Because that guy just keeps going and going. Even the Energizer Bunny's like, man, take a break. Elon Musk on ketamine is like, man, you really got to slow down. So the thing that really caught everybody, all the national attention, the international attention, I guess would be better, was the 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. No clue this was coming. ESPN had no clue this was coming. I don't blame them for that. Do not blame them at all. Obviously, this was something among the Chuck brothers. I don't know. There's obviously something going on there. We don't really know what that is. But it is absolutely unequivocally a terrible look for hockey. I think the reason hockey has made such progress on the national and international scene is because it is becoming more of a skill game. You know, hockey in the 70s and the 80s was goon hockey. Let's go beat the crap out of the other guy. We're just going to maul you. We're going to go to Kronk Gym in Detroit. We're going to learn to box. We're going to be badass mother effers. And with the exception of 1980, the Russians dominated international hockey. And the reason is because they were all about the skill. They were just about, let's leave that there. You want to do it? That's fine. We're going to put the puck in the net. And that's what made Detroit so great, besides Scotty Bowman, was they had 5 Russians for the longest time out there on the ice, and they just had that Soviet system down. It honestly is the greatest hockey system ever. Yeah, okay, if you're a Canadian fan, you can say what you want. But those Russians, man, they played elegant hockey. It wasn't about a fight. Don't get distracted. Let's just deal with the skill. And they were just unbelievable how great they were. So now we get 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. ESPN doesn't know what to do. It's a terrible look. First of all, if you look at UFC and let's just say boxing at large, anywhere between 80 and 85% of their audience is male. Okay? Women don't particularly like the hockey thing. And if hockey wants to get a broader appeal, they need to appeal to women, right? Half the population. And I heard a stat after the fight that in all the NHL games this year, up to this point, only 5 had 3 fights. So now we have 3 fights. It's a terrible look. There, I think it's just effing stupid. It really is. On the biggest moment, on the biggest stage, this is like Will Smith on steroids, right? Let's see what stupidity we can do. But, ESPN, they got to double down. They just can't admit this is a bad look because they are a broadcast partner with hockey. They want to do the oral sex on hockey and Bettman and let's just keep going deeper and deeper. It's like just one of those 70s porn films. And the Tkachuk brothers, Keith and Brady, started it. We really don't know what was going on there. They even interviewed one of the brothers between the first and second period, and he was more evasive than a Trump nominee for a cabinet post. Like, I don't really know. I just about pride and whatever. So then this is where they started going that I guess in 96 when the U.S. played Canada and Canada was so much more supremely talented, Keith Tkachuk, the dad, started a fight. Let's get going. Let's try and throw Canada off their thing. Let's not make it a skill game. Let's try and, do bully ball. I guess it worked. Everybody was hearkening back for something that happened 30 years ago. We left that in the crosshairs, like boxing. We left the 15-round fight a long time ago. We don't need to go back to it, okay? The game is better than ever now. We don't need to regress. We don't need to go to the caveman thing. So in between the first and second period, we had Steve Levy. And for the life of me, with all the massive layoffs they've had at ESPN, I don't understand how this guy wasn't the first in the first row to be called. He's giggling, and this brings back hockey, and this is great, and all the old timers love the fist and whatever, and it means something, and pride, and this and that, and they really kept pushing this is about countries and this is about pride because it's Canada against the United States. And okay, if that's your mantra, and this is exactly fed into Mark Messier, and he's like, it's about pride. All right. You want to say it's about pride and it's about countries. So let me ask you this, ESPN, effing idiots. If that's the case, what happens when they don't fight? When it's a clean game, does it mean they don't care? That they don't have pride? Of course not. Of course not. Because you guys are effing idiots. These guys did something incredibly stupid. Just stupid on stupid. And if hockey doesn't already have a big enough hole, they just dug it a little deeper. So then, as we're talking to Mark Messier, and this dude's an empty suit on an empty suit, he is a little better than Wayne Gretzky, who's just like, I'm the greatest hockey player ever. I really don't have to talk. I don't know. Did he share some of that with Tom Brady? I don't know. And then Mark really goes for it. And I don't even know where we're going to go with this, but here we are. He said, I had a feeling this was coming. Now, when I saw that, I wanted to throw up because you were on the pregame for an hour and everybody was talking, especially you and PK, and nobody mentioned this was a possibility about a fight, right? Nobody said anything. But once the fights happened, oh man, I had a gut feeling. You know what? You're an analyst for one reason, because when you have a feeling, tell us. Like, I will say this, after the second period and USA was up 2-1, you said, I have a feeling Canada's going to score a goal and send it overtime. Look, it wasn't right, but I applaud it. It was a good thing. That's what the analysts are supposed to do. When you have a feeling, something outside the box, bring it in. ESPN is terrible at pregame and intermission shows. They're just terrible. And the reason isn't because of the personnel, it's they don't give them enough time to talk. That is what makes TNT so good. They're not so obsessed with every effing commercial. Look, if we get in 3 commercials versus 5, ESPN is monetizing everything. Let them talk for a little bit and let's get to 4 or 5 commercials. Then we get to PK Subban. And right now, when I saw his little outfit, the fur coat, I thought to myself, there's one less pimp over there at Hooker's Point in New York. All right. I mean, you want to be Superfly? You want to be Shaft? All right, man. Cool. That's your thing. Makes me understand why Lindsey Vonn dumped you. But okay. Hey, man, whatever. And he started digging down on the fights are all about the pride. And because you got the fights, you care about your country. And, hey, man, we already been there. That's bull. It's total bull on bull. Because when they don't fight, they still care. And I'm going to go in deeper instead of just the woman's angle. One thing I like about not having as prolific amount of fights as they did, it allows smaller, more skilled guys to come in and play. And I love seeing the skill. I will say one of the touching moments was Johnny Gardeau. His dad was there at practices. Him and his brother were mowed down by that drunk driver last summer in Jersey when they were there for his sister's wedding. And Johnny would have been on this squad for the U.S. It was a poignant moment. And I think ESPN handled it very, very nicely. They had his jersey in there. One of the Chuck brothers, I believe, wore it. Austin Matthews wore it during practices last week. It was a really touching thing, and I'm glad they reminded us. It brought back a little extra meaning to the game. My observations of the game, it was a really good game. I think Makar not playing defense for Canada was a big factor. He was a no-go at game time because of an injury. I was shocked the USA was able to keep up speed-wise with Canada, McDavid aside. McDavid had the first goal. That guy is just literally like a rocket on rocket fuel. And it's hard, nobody in the world can keep up with him. But for the most part, the United States did a really nice job in keeping speed to speed. Ray Ferraro was talking about before the game, and he's forgotten more about hockey than I'll ever know. But he was talking about the center ice. To me, it really seemed like the game was about the wings. That's where the goals came from. And, I just thought it was just an excellent, excellent game. I thought the U.S. was a little more physical. That was their strength. Canada's was the speed. I think the United States did a much better job neutralizing the opponent's strength. It's just two excellent hockey teams. And make no mistake, we're going to see them again on Thursday. Canada is going to beat Finland. The USA is going to whack Sweden. We're going to see a rematch. And that's where I would look at Canada because they got the revenge angle. I got a funny feeling they're going to pull the goaltender. I know he only allowed 2 goals. 2 goals against the United States team is insane. That is so good. And one thing that PK Subban kept talking about was any mistake, they're going to capitalize. Well, they played 60 minutes. Forget the last goal. They played 60 minutes and only gave up 2 goals. That's insane. That is insane. As far as I'm concerned, 2 goals. The USA had a little better goaltending, but, at the end of the day, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. I look forward to the rematch on Thursday. It's going to be spectacular. I love the game. I didn't like ESPN the way they did it, but you can't have everything. Sometimes you don't get what you want, you get what you need. So now we'll see what happens with the rest of the tournament. Monday, they're in Boston. And then Thursday, we're going to see the finals. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I'd appreciate it very much. Leave your comments about what you thought about the game. I'd love to read them and respond to them. And I will talk to you tomorrow.